Now Job 27. Here it comes. Chapter 27 begins with this oath-taking thing that Job does, right? He outlines, this is just my thoughts, by the way. Like, I'm dying to hear what you think, but he outlines two big truths. God is sovereign and he's just, and Job himself is innocent of all the charges laid against him. So his brothers, Eliphaz, Bildad, they're laying into him saying he's this sinner and he's all jacked up and messed up. But Job in chapter 27 now goes, hey, God is sovereign, God is just, I'm innocent, these charges you're making me are bullcrap. No. This is not self-righteousness, though, because if you read it carefully, it's covenantal integrity. It's Job showing, hey, I have integrity before God. And for me to start confessing falsely that I'm guilty of all this crap you just laid on me would be lying before God. So he's not being self-righteous. He's saying, I have a covenant with my God, and I haven't broken it. And to even begin to remotely move an inch toward your direction of acknowledging that I'm sinful, the way you're saying I'm sinful, would be to deceive my God and to lie against my God. And he's not going to do it. And then once we get to verse 7 in there, in chapter 27, he describes the destiny of the wicked, right? And now, what's interesting, go back and read what his friends were saying. He's echoing what his friends were saying about him, saying this is what wicked people look like, right? So he's using his own friends' language against him, but with much deeper nuance. Verses 7 to 12, he asserts that the wicked have no lasting hope. Their prosperity does not equate to divine approval. Just because they're prospering in their sin doesn't mean God approves of it. And they have no hope beyond whatever they can gather and hoard and be greedy about in this lifetime. Then in verses 13, 14, and 15, Job says, basically describes how judgment is going to flow out over time through loss, death, generational unraveling. Like he's like, this is how destruction is going to manifest itself for the wicked. And then in 16 through 23, he depicts the futility of all of that. Kind of like Solomon, right? Everything is, useless. He's showing the futility of hoarded wealth, of false security in your own stuff. He's describing how what the wicked have stored up passes to the righteous now. And what they build will collapse under God's scrutiny. But what's really fascinating about it, if you read it carefully, is that Job does not say this happens immediately or it happens in the way we want it to, or the way it happens in predictable ways that are obvious. The justice of God is very real, but it's not mechanical. It doesn't have a process. It doesn't have a structure. It doesn't have a playbook that God uses. Although there's some things that I think are true. The way God reacts to stuff is predictable in the sense that God shows us he'll be true to it. But it's very real, but it's not mechanical. It's not always the same. And this will prepare the way for later teaching on delayed judgment in Psalm 73 that I told you to read about, and in Ecclesiastes, where Solomon writes, right, in Ecclesiastes. So that's interesting. These two chapters, 26 and 27, they teach that God's power, this is what I'm getting, God's power is way beyond my ability to comprehend it. And his justice is beyond being manipulated. He's in charge. He'll mete out justice the way he wants to, when he wants to, how he wants to, and it won't be predictable. And I think we make a mistake. We err badly when we assume that either of those things, God's greatness, his vastness, his awesomeness, and his justice in the way he gives it out, we make a mistake when we assume that either of those things are fully understandable or can be explained. It's fair that we just don't get it.